Peruvian fisherman found after more than 3 months adrift in the ocean. How did he survive? Here is his incredible story. He drank rainwater, fed on birds, insects, and even a sea turtle. He managed to light a fire with wood from his boat. But beyond his survival strategies, the real secret of Máximo Napa Castro, the 61-year-old Peruvian fisherman, was something even more powerful: the strength of hope and love for his family. Máximo's story seems to have come out of a movie, enough to leave anyone speechless. And yet, it's all true. The man managed to stay alive after being lost in the Pacific Ocean for 95 days, an undertaking that defied all logic and probability, made possible by a set of favorable factors that, one after the other, allowed him to resist. How it all began. It was December 7th when Napa Castro set sail from the port of San Juan de Marcona in southern Peru, aboard his small boat called El Gaton. It was supposed to be a normal day of fishing, like so many others, but fate had something completely different in store for him. After just 10 days of sailing, a violent storm hurled him off course, pushing him over 1,000 kilometers away from the coast. Isolated, without a radio or emergency devices, and with barely enough supplies for a few days, Máximo found himself adrift in the middle of the ocean. When his family did not see him return, they immediately alerted the Peruvian authorities, who began the search. But day after day, week after week, every attempt to locate him proved futile. There was no trace of him or his boat. Only after 3 interminable months would someone finally notice his drifting boat. The battle for survival. Once rescued, Napa Castro explained in detail how he managed to survive in such extreme conditions. The key element was water. With no sources of drinking water, the man collected rainwater whenever the sky allowed it. Luckily for him, in the stretch of the South Pacific where he was, rain is not rare and provided him with the minimum necessary to avoid dying of thirst. Food was an equally difficult challenge. Once the initial meager provisions were finished, Máximo fed on what nature had to offer. There were cockroaches and other insects on the boat, which he ate to survive. At one point, he caught a seabird, probably a seagull, that had accidentally landed on the vessel. Not only that, a sea turtle got caught in the fishing nets left on board, offering him another precious source of nourishment. Napa Castro managed to cook these animals by lighting a fire with the wood from his boat. The worst days. But human resistance has a limit, and Máximo's courage was also put to the test. In the last 15 days before the rescue, the 61-year-old had nothing left to eat. He survived only by drinking rainwater, while his body weakened more and more. When he was found, he was in critical condition and in an advanced state of dehydration. "The last few days I thought I wouldn't make it," he confessed with a broken voice after being rescued. The real secret: love for his family. Despite everything, the strength that sustained him during those long months was mental, even before physical. "When it rained, I felt that God was giving me life again," he said. And in the most difficult moments, when his body seemed to give up, he found comfort in the thought of his family. "I thought of my mother, my children, my grandson. It was for them that I fought until the end," he confessed. In particular, the image of his elderly mother gave him the determination not to give up. "I knew she was waiting for me and that I couldn't leave her alone." The rescue and the return home. After 95 days adrift, the miracle happened. An Ecuadorian merchant ship spotted Napa Castro's boat in the middle of nowhere. The crew members immediately took action to rescue him and took him on board, then transported him to a medical center for first aid. His condition was critical, but he made it. On March 15th, Máximo finally returned home, greeted at Lima's Jorge Chávez Airport by a wave of general emotion. Waiting for him were his family, neighbors, friends, and complete strangers, all eager to pay homage to that man who had defied the impossible. Amid the crowd and the cameras, Máximo took a moment for himself. "I would like you to leave me alone with my mother for a moment," he said. And in that moment, in front of everyone, He addressed her with words full of love. "Mom, I love you." The two hugged each other tightly, crying through the tears of those who witnessed one of the most incredible stories of survival in recent years.